You want to succeed. You really do. You have goals. You have plans. You know what you should be doing. But somehow, you feel absolutely no motivation. You sit down to work and nothing moves. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and the same thing happens again. So you start asking yourself this scary question. Why does this happen? Most people think motivation should always be there. That if you truly want something, you should feel driven all the time. That's what we're taught. That's what we see online. Motivation is treated like a personality trait. Either you have it or you don't. But here's the truth no one talks about. Motivation is emotional, and emotions are unstable. They go up. They go down. They depend on sleep, stress, pressure, and mental load. Yet we build our entire lives expecting motivation to behave like a machine. Always on, always ready. So when motivation disappears, we don't question the system. We question ourselves. We call it laziness. We call it lack of discipline. We call it weakness. But in many cases, it's none of those things. One of the biggest reasons motivation dies is burnout. But burnout doesn't look dramatic. It looks like procrastination. It looks like scrolling. It looks like I just don't feel like it. So we label it laziness. But burnout is what happens when you keep working without recovery. When you keep pushing without pause. When rest becomes something you feel guilty about. Your mind stops cooperating not because it's broken, but because it's exhausted. Imagine pressing the gas pedal in a car with no fuel. The problem isn't effort. The problem is supply. Motivation can't survive where recovery doesn't exist. Another reason motivation disappears is meaningless goals. Goals that look good on paper. Goals that impress other people. Goals you chose because you were supposed to want them. But deep down, they don't excite you. Your brain is smart. It knows when something matters to you and when you're just chasing approval. When a goal has no personal meaning, every action feels heavy. Every step feels forced. And motivation slowly drains away. Not because you're unambitious, but because your energy refuses to be wasted on something empty. Then there's pressure. Pressure is everywhere. Fear of falling behind, fear of failing, fear of disappointing people. Pressure can push you for a while. It gets results short-term. Deadlines, exams, emergencies. But pressure is not fuel. It's friction. It creates tension, not drive. Resistance, not flow. Purpose works differently. Purpose doesn't shout. It doesn't threaten. It quietly pulls you forward. When motivation disappears, it's often because pressure has replaced purpose. And that's where we'll continue. So if pressure kills motivation, what actually brings it back? Not forcing yourself harder. Not shaming yourself. Not waiting for some magical surge of energy. The real fix is reconnecting with why not pressure. Most people ask, how do I get motivated? That's the wrong question. The better question is, what am I disconnected from? Because motivation doesn't come from pushing. It comes from alignment. When what you're doing matches what you value, motivation feels natural. You don't need hype. You don't need discipline quotes. You don't need fear. You need clarity. Why does this matter to you? Not to your parents. Not to society. Not to social media. To you. And this doesn't have to be some deep, dramatic purpose. Sometimes the why is simple. Freedom, peace, self-respect. Proving something to yourself, not others. When you reconnect with that, motivation stops feeling like a fight. Another mistake people make is waiting to feel motivated before acting. But motivation often comes after movement, not before. Small, low-pressure action creates momentum. Momentum creates clarity. Clarity brings motivation back. You don't rebuild motivation by doing more. You rebuild it by doing less but doing it intentionally. Instead of asking, what's the maximum I can push today? Ask, what's the smallest step I can take without resistance? Motivation hates overwhelm. but it responds to progress. And here's the most important thing to understand. Lack of motivation does not mean lack of ambition. If you had no ambition, you wouldn't feel frustrated. You wouldn't feel stuck. You wouldn't feel guilty for not doing more. That frustration is proof you care. What it actually means is that your system is broken, not you. You've been running on pressure instead of purpose, on exhaustion instead of recovery, on expectations instead of meaning. Fix the system, and motivation returns naturally, not as a sudden burst, but as quiet consistency. And before you go, there's one more thing. If you're Muslim, there's something special waiting for you in the comments. It's a small gift but a meaningful one. Something that might help you reconnect, not just with motivation, but with peace, clarity, and purpose. Make sure you check it. And if this message resonated with you, if it explained a struggle you couldn't put into words, subscribe for deeper mindset videos.